15 accountants gave up, but the incredible delivery girl revealed a life-changing secret to the town. In the heart of Riverton, a small American town, 15 dedicated accountants sat hunched over their desks at Riverton Financial, each feeling like they were suffocating under the weight of their own ambitions. The once joyful atmosphere brimming with laughter and stories of success had been replaced by the dull hum of computers and the frantic clicking of keyboards. Every late night, each missed family dinner left scars deeper than Excel spreadsheets. Jack, Susan, and Mike, all seasoned professionals, had poured years into their careers only to watch their personal lives crumble around them. Family dinners turned into missed opportunities, children barely glimpsed their parents, living in a world where numbers trumped hugs and laughter. But then came Jenna, a spirited delivery girl in her 20s, who wove through the streets on her bicycle, a bright ray of sunshine amidst the gloom. She balanced her job delivering pizzas while helping her single mother make ends meet. Every time she pedaled up to a house, her joy spilled out like confetti. She greets everyone with a smile, her energy infectious. One fateful afternoon, Jenna dropped off a pizza at the accountant's office, and through the cracked door, she overheard whispers of despair that punctured her optimism. "You think we'll make it through this?" Jack sighed, the weight of uncertainty evident in his tired eyes. "I don't know how much longer we can hold on," Susan added, the frustration in her voice cutting through the air like a sharp blade. Compelled by their vulnerability, Jenna found herself stepping across the threshold. With a shaky voice, she shared her own story. "I know it's hard. My mom works 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Each day feels like a struggle. But, we have a community. We band together, support each other." Her words hung in the air, awakening a flicker of hope in the 12 pairs of weary eyes now trained on her. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With Jenna's spark igniting a fire within them, the accountants began to reconsider their paths. Just as they whispered hopeful promises to each other, the shadow of layoffs loomed. Fear gripped their hearts, individual survival loomed larger than community bonds. Should they cling to one another or sacrifice their kinship for self-preservation? Tanya voiced their silent dilemma: "We can either stand alone or fight together." As they faced the town at the next meeting, Jenna, standing in front of them, proposed community initiatives, tutoring, teaching, helping. Moments after, Gary from the town council criticized their ideas. "You accountants? Together? Really?" His voice dripped with doubt, turning their newfound hope into a fragile whisper. Now left reeling from skepticism, the accountants felt it. Would they crumble under judgment, retreat into isolation? Or find strength in unity? The tension thickened as Jenna shared her mother's mantra, "We rise by lifting others." The moment barely had time to settle when a twist of fate threatened everything they hard won. As they wavered between doubt and determination, rupture threatened their budding camaraderie. Would they grasp hold of the essence of camaraderie before it slipped away? Town. The air crackled with tension as the accountants exchanged glances, their hopes teetering like a fragile balance beam. They had come so close to embracing the idea of community when the disapproval from Gary pierced through their optimism. Jenna stood there, her presence both a beacon of hope and a stark reminder of how far they had slipped. "What if we show them?" Susan's voice broke the silence, small but fierce. "What if we create something that can't be ignored?" Jack nodded slowly. "Maybe we start with just one initiative. A workshop, something simple. We can show Gary and the town that we're not just numbers, we can contribute, too." Jenna's eyes lit up, enthusiasm bubbling over. "Yes. Let us organize a financial literacy day. Everyone in town can come. We'll help them understand managing money, saving, budgeting. Just like I help my mom with her bills. But what if no one comes? Asked Mike, his gaze drifting to the window where the clouds mirrored their doubts, a heaviness that threatened to break. Then we still do it, Jenna smiled, her positivity pulling them momentarily from their gloom. It's not about the numbers of people. It's about making an impact, however small. In that moment, they felt it, a shift. Their heartbeats synced in quiet determination, running through the gears of their minds as they planned. The following weeks passed in a whirl of canvassing flyers and sending out invites. Tension mingled with anticipation. At meetings, the accountants became animated, their laughter echoing off the walls like distant echoes of the joy they used to know. Jenna was at the center of it all, her sparkle inspiring them to reveal their true selves. When the day arrived, a wave of nervous energy coursed through them. They had decided to host it at the community center, an inviting, familiar space that pulsed with collective memories. "Are you ready?" Jenna whispered to Susan as they set up chairs in neat rows. "I'm terrified, but we have to do this," Susan replied, straightening a crooked chair. "Just think about the change we can make," Jenna urged, her excitement infectious. "We're not alone in this. Remember?" A few early attendees trickled in. A handful of families, some curious teens, and a couple of elderly folks found their seats. Jenna's heart fluttered with hope, but doubt crept back in as she noticed Gary leaning against the back wall. The uncertainty in the air was like fog refusing to dissipate. "Why should they trust you?" Gary called out, his challenge ringing clear. "You're just accountants. These people need real help." Every pulse in Jenna's body screamed for her to retreat, but she took a step forward, heart racing. "Because we care. We may not have faced the same struggles, but we want to understand. We want to help everyone here stand tall." As Jenna's words hung thick in the air, a ripple of murmurs spread through the audience. Uncertainty began to melt, replaced with varying degrees of curiosity. Maybe these accountants were reaching out for more than just numbers. "Let us not just be tired professionals," Jack spoke up, "let us be part of the story our town deserves." As they moved into their first workshop, excitement clashed with apprehension. They began to teach budgeting and smart spending. One by one, the attendees engaged, the energy of the room slowly transforming from silent skepticism to budding interest. But in the midst of their small triumph, Jenna caught a glimpse of Gary. He stood unmoving, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. What was he thinking? The realization hit her hard. The road was still long. They had taken a brave step forward, but would it be enough to solidify their place in the community? As the workshop unfolded, a small child raised their hand. "Miss Jenna, why do you care so much about us?" The question echoed in Jenna's heart. It wasn't just a question of community, it was a question of self-worth, belonging, and purpose. Because, she finally spoke, her voice unwavering, "we're all in this together. If we lift each other up, we might just soar." As laughter and chatter filled the room, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What if they could truly change the course of their lives and their town together? But just then, the door swung open, and in stepped a frowning figure with a look of urgency. It was the town mayor, and he wasn't alone. "Folks, we need to talk." The weight of his words hung ominously, and Jenna's heart plunged. What was about to change? Mayor Thompson's presence in the community center felt like a sudden downpour on a sunny day. Jenna's stomach twisted as he strode in, flanked by expressions of anxiety on the faces of the townspeople. The laughter from the workshop faded to silence, replaced by a collective inhale of uncertainty. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his tone grave. "I appreciate the initiative Chris and Jenna have taken in hosting this workshop. However, we have urgent matters to address." Jenna felt a wave of dread wash over her. What could possibly be more pressing than their attempt to uplift the community? With the upcoming budget cuts, Mayor Thompson continued, his eyes narrowing on Gary, "we are facing possible layoffs in town services. We need to decide what sacrifices will be made. Gasps spread through the room like wildfire. Panic painted the faces around her. Toddlers clung tighter to their parents, and hushed whispers filled the space with anxiety. Jenna's heart raced, splintered by a mix of dread and inspiration. She couldn't let fear solidify in this moment. This was their chance, her chance. Wait! She called out, breaking through the mounting noise like a lifeline. What if we show you that we can help find a solution? Surprised eyes shifted to her, including Gary's. She saw his skepticism but also a hint of intrigue. We've organized this workshop to help our town, she pressed on, determination surging through her. We know budgeting. We can create a plan, a way to save money and keep services running without cutting jobs. Mayor Thompson blinked, the weariness lifting slightly from his features. You think you can take this on? Yes. Jenna exclaimed, hope blossoming within her. But we need the community involved. Let us hold more workshops, involve everyone. We can gather ideas and collaborate together to resolve this. The murmur of agreement floated through the crowd, uniting them in purpose. They were a community, not just spectators. As the mayor observed the shifting energy, something seemed to thaw in his demeanor. You're proposing a task force? He asked slowly, considering. Yes. A group from every corner of town, willing to brainstorm ideas to keep our town services, our jobs, and this community strong. Jenna's heart pounded as she spoke. It felt like breaking a kind of barrier. After a moment of silence, Gary finally spoke, his voice low but firm. It sounds ambitious, but why should we trust you? Why not someone who has been part of this city council longer? This isn't just about the accountants, Jenna replied, her voice steady. It's about all of us coming together. Our community is more than its perceptions of us. It's the families, the workers, the kids who deserve a future here. A few heads nodded in agreement. The atmosphere shifted. Voices rose, discussing the possibilities of getting involved. For the first time, Jenna could feel the spark of hope illuminating the dimming corners of their spirits. Let us organize a town meeting. Share our ideas. Jack jumped in, enthusiasm sparking in his eyes. Yes. Others echoed, fueled by a primal urge to fight back against the shadows looming over their town. As their collective excitement built, Jenna's heart soared. She glanced at Gary, whose expression seemed to falter. Maybe, just maybe, they were breaking through, but her jubilant thoughts were interrupted when a girl from the crowd approached. Holding a cardboard box filled with donations, she said, Miss Jenna, my mom and I were saving for a new bike, but we want to give this to help the town. Can we? The laughter broke out spontaneously around her, rejuvenating the room. What started as a gesture of solidarity turned into a larger realization. This was more than just about budgets. It was about connection, compassion, and community in its purest form, but just as the excitement hit a peak, Mayor Thompson raised a hand. I'll support your task force, but it needs to be fast. Time is running out. That looming clock was a stark reminder. Could they actually pull this off? As the town stepped forward, ready to partner in a challenge that seemed insurmountable, Jenna looked around, her resolve hardening. They were on the edge of something big, but deep down, a whisper of fear nagged at her. Would they find the answers in time? And as they dove back into planning with the weight of the town behind them, the looming deadline hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Would they find a way to bring the community together and save their home, or would time run out? The town meeting buzzed with a fervor that made Jenna's heart race. She stood at the front, surrounded by tables piled high with papers, flip charts, and markers. The air was thick with the scent of coffee and the palpable energy of shared determination. Old, familiar faces filled the seats, yet there was something different in their eyes. It wasn't just concern anymore, it was resolve. Welcome, everyone. Jenna started, her voice steady despite the butterfly swarm in her stomach. Tonight, we're here to brainstorm solutions. We have a chance to work together, to save our town. Applause erupted, cutting through the earlier tension like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. With every clap, Jenna's confidence grew. They had already shared their fears, now it was time to turn them into plans. Let us break into groups, she announced, excitement crackling in the air. The townspeople shuffled into clusters, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and Jenna felt her spirit lift. Ideas began to flow like a river, each voice adding to the chorus of collective hope. In one corner, a group of teachers discussed cutting expenses in their classrooms without sacrificing quality. Nearby, another cluster brainstormed about organizing community events that would bring in donations. Laughter and chatter filled the room, the sound of a community reawakening. As she moved from group to group, Jenna caught sight of Gary deep in conversation with old Mr. Dunlop, the retired firefighter. The two were animated, sketches of their brainstorming session tucked under Gary's arm. Maybe this was the turning point, Jenna thought. Maybe Gary would see how they could shift the dynamics of this town not through budget cuts, but through unity. Suddenly, a loud crash brought every conversation to a halt. Jenna turned to find a boy no older than 10 who had just toppled a table full of supplies. Gasps erupted, but then, the child stood up, holding a crumpled paper in his hand. "I want to help," he declared, his voice shaking but firm. Jenna approached. "What do you have there?" she asked gently. "I heard my mom talk about how our neighbor can't keep his garden because he is sick. I wrote down names of people who can help." The boy's wide eyes shone with determination, a glimmer of the heart that pumped passion into this entire initiative. That moment struck a chord. Jenna realized it wasn't just adults who cared. Each child, each resident held a piece of this town's future. "Let us hear it," Jenna encouraged. "We need every idea, no matter how small." As the boy shared his plans for neighborhood helpers to tend to gardens and share produce, a warm energy enveloped the room. They began riffing off his idea, bringing in thoughts on how to barter skills and services within the community. Laughter echoed again, building upon the hope that filled the air, but amidst the excitement, Jenna noticed Gary slipping out of the room. She felt a tug in her gut. What if he couldn't see the real promise of their initiative? She needed to talk to him. "Excuse me," she called out, weaving between groups. "Gary. Can we talk?" He stopped, brows furrowed. Jenna caught up to him, breathless. "What is going on?" "I don't know, Jenna. It just seems like a lot." He glanced back at the bustling meeting, uncertainty shadowing his features. "Maybe it is," Jenna admitted, searching his eyes for understanding. "But every little idea counts. If we come together, we can make it work." Gary considered her words, but the doubt lingered. "You really believe we can do this?" "More than ever," Jenna said firmly. "Hope is our greatest resource." He looked past her to the gathering crowd, where people were animatedly discussing plans. Jenna felt her heart race. "How about we try?" he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, an ember of determination starting to spark. Before she could respond, the door swung open, revealing Mayor Thompson, his expression stern and somber. The energy in the room fizzled as he stepped in, cutting through the burgeoning excitement. "I need to speak to all of you about something urgent," he said, his voice grave. Jenna's heart sank. The clock was ticking. They were just beginning to breathe life into their plans, and yet here came the specter of doubt. What was it this time? Everyone turned toward the mayor, the air thick with anxiety. "Please, no, not now," Jenna thought, holding her breath. With every passing second, Jenna felt the weight of their mission. Were they truly ready for whatever he was about to say? And would they still find a way forward, despite the growing shadows threatening their hope? Mayor Thompson cleared his throat, and the room fell silent, the kind of silence that mimics a breath held in suspense. Jenna noticed the way his usually bright eyes dimmed, and a chill ran through her. She felt every thread of hope slip just a little. "Thank you for gathering," he began, his voice steady, but Jenna could sense the weight behind it. I wish I had more uplifting news to share. The town's future is in jeopardy. I just received word that our funding has been cut again. There it was, the strike that felt like a punch to the gut. Gasps filled the room, disbelief swirling around like a thick fog. Jenna's heart raced, thoughts colliding. How could they have come this far only to face another setback? She scanned the faces around her, looking for signs of despair, but she found determination instead. There was Gary, eyes narrowing as if in challenge, old Mr. Dunlop clenching his fists as if ready to fight back. We cannot afford the services we depend on, the mayor continued. Parks, libraries, and community programs are at risk of shutting down. It's going to take all of you, everyone, to pitch in and make sure we can sustain ourselves. The crowd erupted in discussions, voices rising, worry mixing with fury. Jenna felt a surge of urgency. Okay, breathe, she whispered to herself. This could either shatter their newfound hope or ignite a wildfire of resilience. Wait! Jenna called out, her voice rising above the din. If we can come together to create workable plans tonight, we might be able to address this crisis head-on. Each idea, every single effort counts. Jenna's right. Gary stepped forward, an eager glimmer in his eyes. If we don't want to let our town die slowly, we need a plan. Now more than ever. Her heart leaped as the crowd began to quiet, listening, engaged. We are strong, she said, leaning into the energy of the room. We've brainstormed before. We've seen that each idea matters. Can we gather proposals tonight and make our needs known? A ripple of agreement surged through the room. People stood taller, renewed with purpose. Children, adults, elders, everyone began to pick up their pens again, sketches and plans unfurling like wildflowers breaking through concrete. As Jenna moved through her town, soaking in the echoes of hope and spirit, she caught sight of the boy, still clutching his crumpled paper. He grinned up at her, full of tenacity. We're going to get our gardens back, he declared with fervor. Yes, we are. Jenna responded, a wave of pride swelling in her chest. She felt something blossom within her as she witnessed the townsfolk's hands scribbling ideas furiously, the fire in their hearts becoming contagious, but just as she began to believe in their collective strength, the mayor's voice cut through again, more grave than ever. But I must remind you, even with determination, there are challenges we cannot ignore. If we don't amend our approach, not all of us will make it through. His words hung heavy, a veil of caution shrouding the atmosphere. Jenna's mind raced, wondering what he meant. What wouldn't he survive this challenge? Then, amidst the flurry of hope, she noticed Gary again. He was staring at the floor, deep in thought, a furrow on his brow. She moved toward him. What's bothering you? He looked up, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. What if I'm not enough? What if we fail? A pang of desperation struck Jenna. We can't think like that. We owe it to ourselves, to each other, to keep pushing. But deep down, she felt the doubt creeping into her own heart. Would this be enough? Would their ideas hold up against the storm closing in? Just then, the boy spoke up again, his small voice breaking through the crowd. Maybe I can help more. I can tell my friends at school. Jenna's heart swelled. This was it. They had to ride this wave of energy, but she also sensed the shadows still loomed ahead. A storm was coming, one they could not avoid forever. Let us keep the momentum going, Jenna called out, projecting her voice even as her heart raced. I know we can do this together. But we have to be ready for whatever comes next. The room erupted with renewed vigor, yet Jenna couldn't shake the uneasiness gnawing at her. What more did they need to prepare for? And as the night swept on, Jenna couldn't help but wonder, when would the truth reveal itself? What sacrifices lay ahead, and could they really weather the storm together? Jenna stood in the center of the crowded community hall, the energy buzzing around her like electricity. Ideas flowed as people scribbled details of their plans on scraps of paper, each one fueled by the fear of losing what they loved most about their town. She moved among them, encouraging every whispered proposal, every burst of inspiration. But beneath her excitement, uncertainty gripped at her heart. She glanced at Gary, who was now fervently jotting down notes. He caught her eye and offered a small, hopeful smile. For a moment, it felt like they could do anything together. But that lingering unease still throbbed in her chest. "Hey, Jenna," a voice called. It was Mr. Dunlop, his gray hair slightly disheveled, but his smile unwavering. "I remember the town fair when we all pitched in, turning nothing into something special. We can do that again, can't we?" Jenna nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. If we come together, we can host our own fundraiser. Bring back our parks, our libraries. We might even have local musicians step up for a concert. It'll be a chance to showcase our talent and passion." The crowd erupted in murmurs, some faces lighting up with the spark of ideas, others still creased with doubt. One woman raised her hand hesitantly. "But what about finances? What if it's not enough?" Jenna felt every head in the room turn to her. It was as if they all hung on her next words. "What if we reach out to the nearby towns? We could organize a larger event. Together, we'd have a wider reach and more resources." Gary spoke up, his confidence growing. "And what about sponsorships? Local businesses would likely step up if we show them we're committed. That's the spirit." Jenna beamed. Their voices joined together in fervor, gathering momentum like a snowball rolling downhill, each idea building upon the last. There was laughter and clapping, even shouts of encouragement. The boys stood back, wide-eyed as the adults kicked into gear. Jenna caught his glance. "What idea do you have now?" "I'll draw a poster for the fair," he exclaimed, his excitement contagious. She nodded, proud of his brave steps. Here, they were all connected, no one too small or too big to contribute, but as the energy crescendoed, a shadow began to creep back into Jenna's mind. As they rallied, what exactly loomed ahead? Every second of enthusiasm felt fragile, as if the floor beneath them could shatter at any moment. The mayor had warned them, the stakes were high. Jenna exhaled slowly, her focus narrowing. They needed clear strategies, not just energy. But how could she lead that charge under the gnawing worry clinging to her thoughts? She stood there lost in a moment, her eyes searching the room. "Let's divide the committee," she proposed, feeling her resolve stiffen. "One group for financial planning. Another for logistics. And a team to reach out to the community and promote." More hands shot up in agreement. Their worries were melded into determination, shifting like tides ready to rise with purpose. "We'll meet at the usual spot next week," Jenna declared, excitement coursing through her veins. But the truth rang loud and clear: they could rise as a community, but there were forces out there that could wash away their efforts. As they wrapped up the meeting, a woman approached Jenna, an anxious look clouding her eyes. "What if it doesn't help? What if we fail, Jenna?" Jenna felt the weight of her words. "We can't let fear dictate our decisions. If we try, we've already succeeded in showing our commitment." But even as she spoke, doubt anchored itself deeper. Each triumph felt temporary against the looming storm of uncertainty. As she stepped outside, the crisp night air hit her face. She gazed up at the stars, feeling so small against the vastness. It reminded her of the boy who believed they could have their gardens back. Could their resilience hold against the inevitable challenges? But just as she was about to let the uncertainty consume her, she noticed a flicker of light far in the distance. A firefly, tiny yet persistent, dancing through the night. Maybe, just maybe, they were just like that glowing little creature, small yet capable of making a difference in their dark world. The question lingered in her mind as she walked away, uncertainty mingling with a sense of determined hope. What would it take for them to not just survive but thrive? And who would step up when the time came to face the unknown? The next week arrived faster than Jenna anticipated. She had barely slept, her mind whirling with thoughts and doubts, ever hungry for assurance that their plans were on the right path. As she stood in the familiar coffee shop where they had gathered, the earthy aroma of roasted beans swirled around her, igniting a spark of energy that shivered down her spine. People began to filter in, coffee cups in hand, chatter mixing with laughter as the space filled with warmth. Among them was Gary, an excited gleam in his eye as he set down a hefty stack of papers on the table. "Look at this," he said, his enthusiasm showing no signs of waning. "I reached out to 3 local businesses. They've pledged some funding and willingness to sponsor us. It's a start." "That's amazing," Jenna replied, her heart swelling with pride. If this is what the spirit of the town looked like, maybe there was a glimmer of hope after all. As the rest of the committee trickled in, Jenna felt the familiar knot of nerves forming in her stomach. She could see it reflected on faces around her. Excitement fought with the fear of what still needed to be done. They were no longer just a crowd of worried individuals. They were a team, and each person had a role to play. Once everyone settled, Jenna stood up, clearing her throat as she prepared to lead the discussions. "First off, let us celebrate the amazing support we've already gathered. I mean, to get that funding in just a week. That's incredible. Let us keep this momentum going." Cheerful murmurs bubbled through the crowd, their spirits lifting, but deep down, she felt a heavy weight bubbling under the surface. There were questions they hadn't addressed yet. "So, we have some financing, but we also need to talk about logistics. How will we organize the event, and who can help with that?" She watched as faces turned serious, pencil scratching against paper, the chatter quieting down like settling water. A tall woman with a determined expression spoke up, "I can handle merchandise. If we're going to sell t-shirts or something with the logo, we need good designs. Count me in for marketing." Another added. Jenna noticed the boy again, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "I can help with the signs. Make them big and bright." A wave of laughter brushed through the group. Jenna couldn't help but smile back at him. As the discussion flowed, everything seemed to click into place. That was until a new voice interrupted, hesitant and shaky. It was Mrs. Henderson, an older woman clinging to the table like it was her lifeline. "What if this doesn't work? What if we fail? What if Mrs. Henderson," Jenna interjected gently, her heart aching at the woman's fear. "What we're doing is already a success. We are here. We are united. No effort is too small, and what matters is that we're trying." As Mrs. Henderson's expression softened, Jenna felt the collective strength of the group. Together they could push through fears and doubts. But then something in the room shifted. A tension rippled beneath the surface, whispers of reality creeping back in. What if they did fail? Jenna took a deep breath to steady herself. Suddenly, Gary leaned closer, an unusual seriousness in his voice. "Jenna, there is something I need to tell you. It's about the town." And before he could finish, the door burst open. The mayor stepped in, urgency flashing in his eyes. "I need to speak with you all. Now." The mood in the room turned tense as everyone fell silent, all eyes glued to the mayor. Jenna's heart raced. What news did he bring? As the mayor raised his hand for attention, Jenna felt a chill of anticipation settle over her. They had begun something big, but now it felt all too fragile. Was this a warning of impending doom or something unexpected? What revelation would this meeting yield, and how would it shape their fight for the town's future? The mayor cleared his throat, the weight of the room hanging heavy. Jenna could see the tension etched on his face, a worry that hung in the air like storm clouds waiting to unleash. "I appreciate your dedication," he began, scanning the group. "But I'm afraid we have a crisis on our hands." Jenna exchanged glances with Gary, dread curling around her heart. "What kind of crisis?" she managed to ask, her pulse quickening. "There's been a development with the town's budget. Some funds that were promised from the state have been unexpectedly cut. We need to make some significant changes to our event plans. It could very well affect everything we've worked for. His voice was steady but edged with urgency. The room erupted into whispers. Jenna's heart sank. Could it really be happening already? Doubt and fear surged. But we've made progress. Jenna interjected, fighting to keep her voice strong. We have sponsors. We have momentum. This can't be the end of it. Jenna. Gary started, his expression caught between support and concern. I understand your passion, the mayor said, holding up a hand. But we need to reevaluate and figure out how to adapt. If we can't secure additional funding quickly, we might have to cancel the event altogether. Silence enveloped the group, stunned faces frozen in disbelief. The cheerful spirits they had built moments ago plummeted. Mrs. Henderson clasped her hands tightly, a look of worry replacing her earlier determination. Wait, the young boy piped up, breaking through the heavy mood. What if people donated? We could ask the community. They care about this place. Jenna's heart clenched with hope. Yes. We can organize a fundraiser. We can rally the town. There are so many who believe in what we're doing. It's a great idea. Gary added, his energy rekindled. We can plan something that gets everyone involved. It could be bigger and better than we imagined. The mayor was hesitant, rubbing his forehead. A fundraiser will take time and effort. We don't have much left. We do have time, Jenna insisted. If we focus. If we believe. We've already come so far. The tension shifted slightly, her optimism radiating through scattered nods of agreement. A fire flickered within the group again, even if shadows loomed on the edges, but just as people began to buzz with plans and new ideas, the mayor's phone buzzed loudly on the table, breaking the moment. He quickly glanced at the screen, his face draining of color. No. It can't be. What is it? Jenna asked, feeling dread crash back. What is happening? The mayor took a deep breath, the weight of the moment crashing down. We just received word, a new development threatens not just our funding, but the entire town council's future. Gasps filled the air, fear and confusion swirling together. Jenna felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling. The stakes had escalated beyond just their event, their fight for survival. People are about to lose their jobs all because of the budget cuts, the mayor continued, his voice steady yet pained. We could be facing a town-wide crisis. Jenna's face paled. What do we do? The question quaked in the air, a plea for guidance and hope amid the storm. Just then, Gary leaned in closer, his expression suddenly serious. There is something I haven't told you, and now feels like the right moment. It's about our sponsors. What was Gary holding back? Could it change everything? Every question now felt amplified, and Jenna's heart raced with both curiosity and dread. Jenna's breath caught in her throat. The room fell silent, all eyes glued to Gary, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. She felt her heart race, anticipation bubbling up. What is it? She urged, her voice a desperate whisper. Gary looked around, ensuring every pair of eyes was on him. Our main sponsor, the one who promised us funding, isn't just in trouble with their finances. They're pulling out of commitments all across the board. And it gets worse. They might be bought out by a corporation that doesn't care about our hometown or our event. Shock rippled through the room. Murmurs flared up again, a storm of voices questioning this new reality. Jenna felt like a sharp cold wind had blown through, sucking the warmth and hope right out of their plans. Are you sure? Jenna said, desperation creeping into her voice. We can't let them go. What if we approach them? Maybe we can show them how important this event is. How important this town is. Gary rubbed the back of his neck, his eyes clouded with uncertainty. I tried. I really did. But they said it's a done deal. Their focus is shifting. They're cutting ties with small-town sponsorships, he explained. A deep frown creased his face. It feels like the rug is being pulled out from under us. A wave of grief washed over Jenna. She leaned her head into her hands, feeling the fight drip out of her. How had it come to this? She glanced around the room, seeing the light in everyone's eyes dim as they fought against the growing tide of despair. Mrs. Henderson cleared her throat, her usual warmth replaced by a trembling resolve. Then we dig deeper. If they're pulling out, that might make others want to step in. Maybe we can find someone else, someone who wants to invest in our community. That's right. Gary chimed in, slowly sparking encouragement among the group. We can reach out to local businesses. They might be looking for the chance to step up and show they care. We could do a campaign, Jenna said, a tinge of excitement bubbling back up. Let us tell our story. Share why this event matters. She could feel the energy shifting again, hope flickering like a timid candle in the wind, but the mayor's expression remained troubled. It won't be easy. Everyone's struggling. Many businesses are right on the edge too. There has to be something we can do, Jenna pleaded. People can't just let this town crumble. We can't let fear control our actions. We need to come together. Gary nodded fervently. Let us brainstorm ideas. We can transform this into something the town rallies behind. Something bigger than just the event. A movement. Suddenly, a soft voice came from the back of the room. What if we went door to door? Talk face to face with locals. People are more likely to help when they see our passion. It was the young boy from earlier, his innocent confidence cutting through the adult worries. Jenna's heart swelled. That's brilliant. We can host community meetings, invite everyone to share their own ideas. As excitement brewed, Jenna saw the flicker of defiance return to faces around her. They might be battered, but they weren't broken yet. The door creaked open, and the room turned. A woman entered, her arms loaded with flyers. I heard what's going on, she said, determination shining in her eyes. I've got an idea that could turn this around, but we'll need everyone's support. Jenna's mind raced. What could this new arrival offer? And could it possibly be the lifeline they needed? The tension thickened again, a swirl of hope threading through doubt. Just then, the mayor's phone buzzed ominously again, his face going pale. Oh no, this time it's from the council. What revelation awaited them now? Would it tighten the noose around their plans or offer a new path forward? The atmosphere crackled with a mix of anticipation and dread as the mayor raised his phone, his eyes narrowing in concern. It seems we're facing yet another setback, he began slowly, tension wrapping tightly around the room. Jenna swallowed hard, her insides twisting with anxiety. What's happened now? Gary asked, his voice edged with urgency. The crowd leaned in, every breath caught as they waited for the mayor to continue. The town council is discussing emergency measures. They may have to initiate spending freezes across the board. This could mean fewer resources for our event, maybe even halting it entirely. Gasps and murmurs coursed through the room, panic evident on nearly every face. Jenna felt her heart drop. They were so close, yet it felt like the ground had shifted again. This wasn't just a wall, it was a barricade threatening everything they had built in the last few weeks. But we can't give up, she spoke up, her voice trembling. We've come too far. We need to show them that this town is worth investing in. The mayor nodded gravely. I understand your passion, Jenna. But reality is pressing down on us. We can't just wish away the obstacles. We need facts, a solid plan. Jenna looked around the room. So many hopeful faces, so many dreams woven together. The weight of her mission felt more real than ever. Then let us create that plan. She declared. Let us gather data. Document what our community stands to lose if we let it all slip away. We can show them with numbers, real stories. Yes. A voice piped up from the back, and Jenna recognized the young boy who had spoken earlier. Let's ask the community why this matters to them. Encouragement spread throughout the room, as ideas fluttered into the air like butterflies. People began jotting down plans. Posters, letters, testimonials. It was a small spark in the face of despair, and as hope rekindled, Jenna felt it too, a sense of purpose growing stronger, fighting against the tide of fear. I'm going to reach out to every school, church, and community center in the area. We can capture their stories, show the town council just how much our community thrives. The energy shifted as they filled the hall with plans to put everyone's story front and center. Some volunteered to make calls, while others dove into creating materials for presentations. As the night wore on, Jenna felt the environment transform into something powerful. They were no longer just a group of worried townsfolk, they were warriors of community spirit rising from the ashes of doubt. Suddenly, as if fate were giving them a nudge, Mrs. Henderson stood up. "What if we hosted a rally?" she suggested, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "Let us gather everyone in Riverton. We can showcase the talents, the resilience of our town. Food, music, stories make it a celebration of our spirit." "Absolutely. We can incorporate a fundraiser right there," Gary added excitedly. "People can donate at the door, and we can set up booths. Bring everyone together for a common goal." Laughter erupted, and it echoed throughout the hall. Jenna's heart was aflame. They could turn this into something beautiful, something that brought life back into their town. As they plotted and planned, the mayor observed intently, a reluctant smile creeping onto his face. "You're really onto something here," he acknowledged, warmth returning to his tone. "But we'll need the town behind us for it to succeed." "And we will," Jenna declared with conviction. "If we unite our voices, no council can ignore us. We refuse to be invisible." The conversations crackled with newly found energy. Every person in the room became a beacon of resilience, their stories intertwining like threads of a tapestry filled with life and love for their hometown. As the night came to a close, Jenna stepped back, breathing in the collective spirit surrounding her. Hope radiated from each face, a reminder that no matter how many times they were knocked down, Riverton would rise again. Days turned into nights filled with hard work. Flyers plastered the town, and energy buzzed through there. Preparations. They hosted meetings, spread the word at schools, and gathered signatures that told the tale of why their community mattered. The day of the rally arrived, and Jenna stood at the helm, her heart racing as the townsfolk poured into the community center, their energy electric. It felt like a festival, hope intermingling with laughter and music. Jenna took to the stage, glancing out over the sea of faces, families, and children, all gathered to advocate for their future. "Thank you, Riverton," she called out, her voice shaking with emotion. "Today, we come together not just to save our town, but to celebrate it. This is our home." Cheers erupted, their voices merging into a loud, powerful roar. Bridging divides that had once seemed insurmountable, they stood strong together. Later, amidst the cheers and applause, Jenna stepped back, allowing herself to be swept up in the moment. She believed, really truly believed, that as long as they held on to each other and never gave up, they would stand against any storm that threatened their dreams. One powerful resolution after another came, ideas sparked and flowed, and most importantly, Jenna felt that their story would be told, that they had transformed from accountants and a delivery girl into champions of their community. As she surrounded herself with the warmth of the town, she realized the storm that had once threatened to drown Riverton had instead revealed its spirit, one that gleamed brighter than any light in the dark sky. Riverton wasn't just surviving anymore. It was alive, thriving with the heartbeat of community, hope, and a future filled with promise. And as she watched the townsfolk dance and celebrate, Jenna's heart soared. They had triumphed, and together, they would keep rising. Now, dear viewers, it's your turn. If you believe in the power of community, you need to subscribe now to the channel, so you won't miss our next incredible stories. Leave a like now to feed this inspiration to others. Comment below and share your thoughts and feelings about this emotional transformation. Share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to witness this amazing journey towards unity and hope. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Step forward, spread the light. Let us ensure stories like these continue to inspire and uplift us all.